Genesis chapter 1, alternate translation. The infinite point and Elohim. The infinite point created Elohim, its mate, and heaven, their son, and it also created the earth. Water in the empty space. Verse 2a. But the earthen container was unprofitable for so long as it was uninhabited, and the personality that was attached to the nephesh, grade of soul, that was in the empty space, was ignorant. And God said, let the ignorant personality attached to the empty space be enlightened, and a morally correct light detached from the Spirit of God, the personality of the supernal mother, the waters from above, and vibrated over the personality attached to the empty space, and the waters of the supernal mother poured out upon the empty space, and Elohim appeared in the empty space, and the light that came from Elohim revealed the disorder of the personality that was attached to the empty space, and the ignorant personality in the empty space was enlightened. And Elohim called the enlightened personality day, and the ignorant soul he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. And God said, let there be a foundation in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters of the Spirit of God that hovered over the empty space from the waters that poured into the empty space. And Elohim made a foundation that divided the waters of the Spirit of God that poured out into the empty space from the waters of the Spirit of God that were above the foundation. And Elohim called the foundation heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. And God said, let the waters under the foundation called heaven be bound together with heaven, and let them stand up together in one place, and let the dry ground appear to delineate the borders of the empty space, and the waters in the empty space were bound together with heaven, and stood upright. And Elohim called the dry ground earth, and the waters of the enlightened personality that were braided together with the foundation called heaven, he called the roaring lion, the west side of mankind, who was made into the similitude of Elohim, the morally correct light that detached from God. And God said, let the earthen container bring forth the glistening green seed that increases into 6 varieties of fruit, called the foot of Adam, the sprout that springs forth from the dry ground that produces the whole Adam, the fruit tree that produces the fruit of the species called mankind, whose seed stands in one place above the earth when it is set upright. And the earthen container brought forth the species of glistening green seed that increases into 6 varieties of fruit, called the foot of Adam, the sprout that springs forth from the dry ground that produces the whole Adam, the fruit tree that produces the fruit of the species called mankind, whose seed stands up in one place, and Elohim, the morally correct light that detached from God, appeared in the earthen container, and the evening and the morning were the third day. And God said, let there be luminous bodies in the foundation of heaven, to distinguish between the children of the day and the children of the night, and let them be for spiritual discernment, and for calculating the 2 times that are appointed for Messiah to appear, and to distinguish between 24-hour days and the day of the Lord, which is 1,000 years. And let the luminous bodies submit to the Son of God, the foundation of the building that connects the earthen container to heaven, and enlighten the soul that is attached to the empty space, because it is the right thing to do. And Elohim made two great enlightened minds, the mind of God, the greater of the two enlightened minds, to rule over the children of the day, and the lesser of the two enlightened minds, to rule over the children of the night. And he also made the stars, the spiritual children born of the mind of God, and the earthen container. And Elohim set the two minds and the stars in the foundation of heaven to give light upon the earthen container, and to rule over the children of the day and over the children of the night, and to distinguish the thoughts of the enlightened mind from the dark thoughts of the unenlightened mind, so that the children of the day could recognize Elohim, the morally correct light that detached from God. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. And God said, let the waters in the empty space bring forth many swarming small animals, the living nephesh soul, and birds and winged insects that fly above the earth, and mankind, the personality of the foundation of the building that joins the earthen container to heaven. And Elohim created great sea serpents, and the whole living creature that crawls, swarms, and wriggles in the waters of the empty space, each according to their species, and all the birds and winged insects, each according to their species. And Elohim, the morally correct light, appeared in the empty space. And God blessed them, saying, produce fruit, and increase, and fill the waters of the seas, and let the birds and winged insects increase in the earthen container. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day. And God said, let the earthen container bring forth the two sides of the species of the living soul, the dumb beast and the reptile, according to their species. And the living thing came into existence and stood upright on the earth. And Elohim made the species of the living creature that God created and attached to an earthen container, a different species than the dumb beast and all the species of reptiles that live on the land. And Elohim, the morally correct light that detached from God, appeared in the living creature. And God said, let mankind be modeled after us and be similar to us, and let them have ruling authority over the fish in the sea, and the birds and winged insects in the air, and the dumb beasts of the whole earth, and all the small animals and reptiles that crawl on the ground above the earth. And Elohim created mankind in his own image, and mankind, the image of God, created many members of himself in earthen containers. This alternate translation was worked up in the message, the Christ-centered message, number 933, 3 parts. The name of the message is The Search for Sophia. God bless you.